Hello guys, my name is Keyshawn, and in today's video we're going to be doing CompTIA's A+ 1201 Core 1 4.8 checkpoint review. So this is just a quick 20 question quiz review, whatever you want to call it. So pretty much like my previous videos on these, I'm just going to read a couple questions. I do have like the voiceover or whatever to like read the question if I don't feel like reading it. And then whenever it comes to the explanations for the answers, whether I get it right or wrong, if you want to read the explanation, by all means, just pause the video. I'll leave a second or two for you to pause the video so you can read the explanation. So without further ado, first question is, what happens in Windows when physical RAM is being used to its full capacity and a user runs a new application? The CPU sends an error code to the user. The VMM divides the data from each app in two different hard drives. The kernel moves the data from an app not currently being accessed from RAM to a paging file, and Windows crashes. So I think we can immediately rule out D. We can rule out A and D. I don't exactly remember. I believe the kernel moves data from an app not currently being accessed from RAM to a paging file. I believe that is the correct answer. Yes. Okay. And then for this one, I'm just gonna read the explanation. I believe this was the correct answer, but I don't remember why. In Windows, when the physical RAM is being accessed to its full capacity and a user opens a new application, the kernel moves the data from an app not currently being accessed from RAM to a paging file to create room on the physical RAM. Okay. Then Windows should not crash. Yeah, we kind of divvied that out. The VMM, I believe that means like virtual. I don't know what the MM stands for. I'm assuming virtual machine, but I don't know what the other M is. The VMM does not divide the data from each app to different hard drives. Jeez, I am struggling. You can manually configure paging files to be divided up between different hard drives, which is not done through the VMM. Alrighty. You're tasked with setting up a workstation for an employee who needs to connect their older monitor to a desktop computer. The monitor has a VGA port, and the desktop computer has a VGA port as well. Easy peasy. The employee requires a resolution of 1080p for their work. Which of the following actions should you take to ensure the setup works properly? VGA. I forgot what that stood for. It's like virtual graphic array. Replace the monitor with one that has an HDMI port for better compatibility. Use a VGA to HDMI adapter to connect the monitor to the desktop computer. Use a DVI cable instead of a VGA cable to achieve the required resolution. Use a VGA cable and ensure it has the high quality. Ensure it of its high qualities to support the full HD resolution. I believe VGA can support 1080p. Trying to think. VGA and DVI. It's like I believe it's virtual graphics array can support 1080p. I'm gonna go with option D. Let's see. Yes. Okay. VGA typically supports resolutions up to 1080p depending on the quality of the cable. By selecting a high quality VGA cable, you ensure the setup meets the resolution requirements. This aligns with the apply level of Bloom's taxon. I don't know how to say that, as it requires the learner to use knowledge of VGA capabilities in a practical scenario. Both the monitor and the desktop computer already have VGA ports, so an adapter is unnecessary. The monitor and the desktop computer both have VGA ports, not DVI ports. Placing the monitor is unnecessary. Screw it, let's just get a new monitor. Alright, I'm gonna have this one read it now.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Question 3 of 20. A hardware technician is following CompTIA's troubleshooting model for diagnosing a monitor with a squiggly screen. The technician suspects the monitor screen is squiggly because it is located directly under a fluorescent light. What is the next step the technician should take? Answer.
She said a squiggly screen. What is the next step the technician should take? Identify the problem. Yeah, you probably should identify the problem. Uh, establish a plan of action. Test the theory. Let's identify the problem first, I think. Once we, I mean, I guess the problem is the squiggly screen, but why? I'm gonna go with A. Test the theory. Okay, let's see.
4.8 check. The technician has established a theory of probable cause, so the next step in CompTIA's troubleshooting methodology is to test the theory to determine the cause. The first step in CompTIA's troubleshooting methodology is to identify the problem by gathering information from the user and inquiring about environmental or infrastructure changes. The second step of CompTIA's troubleshooting methodology is to establish a theory of probable cause and, if necessary, conduct external or internal research based on symptoms. To verify full system functionality and, if applicable, implement preventive measures is the fifth step of CompTIA's troubleshooting methodology. Related content resources, questions, establish and test a theory 01, question.xml.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I really wasn't reading. They identified the problem because it was directly under a fluorescent screen. So next step would be to test the theory, establish a plan of action, and verify system functionality afterwards once you resolve it.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 6 minutes and 19 seconds. Question 4 of 20. Which of the following is most likely used to connect a monitor to a PC via the back panel? Answer.
Via the back panel, I'm gonna go HDMI port.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 6 minutes and 38 seconds. Question 5 of 20. You have been asked to configure the drives in a computer. The end user wants to use striping without incorporating any fault tolerance. Which of the following will best meet these requirements? Answer.
That is gonna be RAID 0. RAID 0 is striping with no redundancy.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Question 6 of 20. Why is it important to consider the context of best practice methodology when troubleshooting IT issues? Answer.
I think the best answer here is D. Why is it important to consider the context of best practice methodology when troubleshooting IT issues? Best practice as in, I mean, I guess how I interpret that is really just looking at everything. You know, if you're having monitor doesn't display, you know, rather than jumping straight to the monitor's broken, you know, make sure that those cables are plugged in. Make sure the monitor's turned on. You know, make sure that the graphics card works. Make sure the graphics card is plugged in and all that. So I think D is the best answer here. Righty. Best answer is to ensure B, to ensure the troubleshooting process is aligned with business priorities and the severity of the problem. All right, let's take a look at the explanation.
4.8. Troubleshooting should be conducted in the context of best practice methodology, which includes prioritizing problems based on their severity and business impact. For example, addressing a data center outage would take precedence over a single user's hard drive failure. Resolving the consequences or impact of the problem is often more important than identifying the root cause. Focusing solely on the root cause without considering the business impact could delay restoring functionality. Documentation is important throughout the troubleshooting process. Proper documentation ensures that findings, actions, and outcomes are recorded for future reference and knowledge sharing. Prioritizing hardware over software issues universally is normally not part of the troubleshooting process. Instead, the troubleshooting process emphasizes prioritizing issues based on their severity and impact, regardless of whether they are hardware or software related. 4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Question 7 of 20. A clicking noise in your computer has now evolved into a grinding noise. In addition, you are beginning to see frequent error messages while running software, and your computer occasionally freezes. What is the most likely cause of these issues? Answer.
That is going to be a failing hard disk drive. Oh, whoops. I go back.
.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 9 minutes and 43 seconds. Question 8 of 20. What is the purpose of installing identical memory modules in corresponding slots of a dual-channel motherboard? Answer.
installing identical memory modules. I'm gonna go with A. Probably be the best answer here.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 10 minutes and 16 seconds. Question 9 of 20. Why is it important to establish and test a theory during the troubleshooting process? Answer.
I think the best answer is C, to systematically identify the probable cause of the problem and confirm it through testing.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 10 minutes and 49 seconds. Question 10 of 20. A desktop technician just fixed an issue where a computer would not connect to a network and verified that the computer is communicating with the network again. What should the technician do now that will help with future troubleshooting efforts? Answer.
I'm going to say document findings. Alrighty, guys, we're back. Sorry, I had to take a quick bathroom break. Alright, so question 11.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 14 minutes and 14 seconds. Question 11 of 20. A customer complains that a recently purchased monitor no longer displays a picture. You verify that the monitor is powered on and that the video cable is securely fastened to the video port. Which of the following actions is the best to take next? Answer.
No longer displays a picture. I'm going to go with B. Check the brightness and contrast settings using the monitor's controls.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 14 minutes and 53 seconds. Question 12 of 20. You've just installed a new USB card reader on your Windows computer. Every time you perform a certain action using the card reader, you get an error message that you've never seen before. Which of the following actions should you perform first? Answer.
I think the best answer is option C. Check the manufacturer's website for information about the error.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 15 minutes and 27 seconds. Question 13 of 20. Why does a motherboard typically support only a limited range of CPU models? Answer.
Alright, I think the best answer is option C. Different CPUs require unique power delivery and socket designs.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 15 minutes and 59 seconds. Question 14 of 20. You are troubleshooting a workstation where the display is not functioning correctly. The monitor and the desktop computer are connected using a VGA cable. Upon inspection, you notice the following: the monitor powers on, the VGA cable is securely connected, and the desktop computer is functioning normally. However, the display resolution is blurry and does not meet the expected Full HD 1920 by 1080. Based on your analysis, what is the most likely cause of the issue? Answer.
I think it's probably going to be A, but let's go through the options. It can't be B because we identified that it's securely connected. That's not true, because VGA can support up to 1080p. Then this doesn't make sense. Alright, I think the best option is A. VGA cable is of poor quality and cannot support full HD resolution.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 17 minutes and 6 seconds. Question 15 of 20. Due to a power failure, power is no longer coming from the wall outlet and your computer is now off. You do not have a UPS and you need to remove a disk from the DVD drive. What is the easiest method for retrieving the disk? Answer.
Oh, we better get prying. Add a UPS between the wall outlet? No. Push a straightened paper clip into the hole in front of the drive. Yep. Press the drive's eject button while pressing the computer's restart button. No. Move the drive and carefully pry open the tray. Okay, I was joking. We're not actually going to pry. We're going to push a straightened paper clip into the hole on the front of the drive.
4.8 Checkpoint Review. Time spent 0 hours 17 minutes and 52 seconds. Question 16 of 20. Which of the following actions does an ATX power supply perform? Select 2. Answer.
Converts AC to DC and provides 110 volts to internal components. Oh, did this... Okay, well, explanation.
4.8 Checkpoint. Explanation. Power supplies are responsible for powering every component in a computer system. Power supplies convert AC power to DC power. Provide internal components with 3.3 volts, 5 volts, or 12 volts of DC power. Aid in thermal management. Surge protectors are used to protect power supplies and electronic components from power spikes. AUPS, uninterruptible power supply, provides backup power to a computer. Related content resources, questions, QPWR, Cool ATX PWR supply functions, question.xml. .8 Checkpoint Review. Time spent 0 hours 19 minutes and 4 seconds. Question 17 of 20. Which of the following is a typical boot device option that can be prioritized in the system firmware's boot option sequence? Answer.
The best answer here is going to be the network / PXE pre-boot execution environment, which to my understanding is kind of a it's a bootable device over the network that you can configure in the BIOS to be used to boot Windows. It allows the computer to boot via the network adapter by retrieving boot instructions from a configured server. Yes, okay, that was correct.
4.8 Checkpoint Review. Time spent 0 hours 20 minutes and 2 seconds. Question 18 of 20. A company employee reports that their computer, which was recently upgraded with additional RAM and a new SSD, is still experiencing sluggish performance. As an IT analyst, you need to determine the underlying cause of the issue. Which of the following analyses would best help you identify the root cause of the sluggish performance? Answer.
Well, why just stop at the RAM and SSD? Throw in a 5090. Alrighty, well, analyze the system config to ensure that the RAM is operating in dual channel mode and the SSD is properly configured. It's probably the best answer. Analyze network traffic, that would have nothing to do. Analyze the system temperature logs to check for signs of overheating that might thermal throttle performance, possibly. Analyze the software applications running on the system to identify any resource-intensive processes. I think analyze the system configuration, ensure that the new RAM is operating in dual channel mode. I think A would probably be the best answer. If any device is thermal throttling, though, that could cause the computer to shut down, not really like perform in sluggish mode, I guess. So I think A is the best answer.
.8 Checkpoint Review. Time spent 0 hours 21 minutes and 29 seconds. Question 19 of 20. A user reports that their computer is unable to boot and displays an error message stating, boot device not found. You have verified that the hard drive is properly connected and powered. Upon accessing the UEFI BIOS settings, you notice that the boot order is set correctly. What should you analyze next to resolve the boot sector issue? Answer.
Upon accessing the BIOS settings, you notice that the boot order is set correctly. You verified that the hard drive is properly connected and powered. Well, if the hard drive is connected and powered and the boot order is set to correct, that could mean that there's the SATA cable that's being connected is not working properly. The 15-pin SATA is not working from the hard drive, or I'm sorry, from the power supply, or the port on the motherboard is not working as intended. Inspect the motherboard for any visible damage or faults, possibly. Place the power supply unit to ensure stable power delivery. We don't know if the power supply is faulty or not. Update the system firmware to the latest version. Normally, you don't have to flash the BIOS for a simple SATA issue. Check if the hard drive is detected in the BIOS settings. I mean, I think I would do this first. I mean, I know it says that it is set correctly, but I think I'm gonna do this first and then do this and then probably test the power supply. Last resort, then we'd like flash the BIOS, but you normally shouldn't have to do that for a SATA port. Cool, that was correct.
4.8 checkpoint review. Time spent 0 hours 23 minutes and 32 seconds. Question 20 of 20. You are setting up a new workstation for an employee in an office that still uses older DVI monitors. The new computer only has HDMI and DisplayPort outputs. The employee reports that the monitor is not displaying anything after you connect it using an adapter cable. What is the most likely step you need to take to resolve the issue? Answer.
You're setting up a new workstation for an employee in an office that still uses older DVI monitors. The new computer has HDMI and DisplayPort outputs. Alright, so, I mean, we can rule out D. It has nothing to do with VGA. It's the adapter cable, one that supports audio output. Employee reports that the monitor is not displaying anything after you connect it. Okay, so we can rule out C. It's nothing to do with audio output. Check the pin configuration of the DVI connector. Install a driver for the adapter cable to ensure the connection. I'm gonna go with A. I think that's the best answer out of all of these. B, check the pin configuration of the DVI connector.
4.8 checkpoint explanation. DVI connectors come in different types, DVI, DVI-D, and DVI-A, with varying pin configurations. Ensuring that the adapter cable matches the type of DVI port on the monitor is essential for compatibility. If the pin configuration does not match, the connection will not work, which is likely the issue in this scenario. DVI does not support audio output. Replacing the adapter cable for this reason would not resolve the issue, as audio is irrelevant to the problem described in the scenario. The scenario specifies that the monitor uses a DVI connection, not a VGA. Using a VGA to HDMI adapter would not address the compatibility issue and would not work with the DVI monitor. There is no specific need for drivers to use DVI adapters. Most adapter cables are plug and play and do not require additional software. This answer introduces an unnecessary step that is not relevant to the scenario.
Heard that. Okay. Yes, I mean DVI, D, and A have the different pin configurations for what is it? DVI, what digital? I forgot what the other one was. It's digital something and then both. Digital, analog, and both. That's what it is. So they have different pin layouts. So you got to get the proper, adapter for the correct pin layout. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and grade our assessment. I think we got like 3 wrong, 3 or 4 maybe. I don't remember. What do we get? 1, 2, 3. So we got 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 here. Okay, I mean 83%. It's a passing grade. Obviously, I want to get 100% because I would assume in the real world, if you're not 100% right, things could obviously go wrong, or at least if you're not 100% confident, things probably are going to go wrong afterwards. So, but 83% for the assessment, I'm fine with that. I'll probably come back through and take all these assessments again, try to correct myself. So, but anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and have a good day.